Okay, thank you all very much. I apologize. I am talking from my iPhone because I am having technical difficulties, but that does not prevent us from having a meeting. And a meeting we will have. First of all, let me establish who's here. Commissioner Hamaker, are you here?
Here.
Thank you. Commissioner Allen, are you here?
Present.
Commissioner Richardson, are you here?
Here.
Commissioner Killeen, are you here?
Yes, present.
Commissioner Hamilton, are you here?
Here.
And by here, I mean like within 500 miles of St. Louis.
Yep.
Okay. Commissioner Robinson, are you here? Meg, I can't see from this phone if he is here.
He is here. Yeah, Commissioner Richardson is here. He's still muted.
Robinson.
I'm sorry, Robinson is here.
He's also muted.
But is muted.
Also, could you remind everyone to turn on their camera if they're voting? I know this is our rule for attendance only, but
is my camera on?
It is.
Okay, then. Okay, and I am present. I'm going to mark Commissioner Robinson as a maybe. Commissioners, has anybody yet had a chance to take a look at the minutes from March 27th, 2023? And if you have, do I have a motion?
I have, Mr. Chairman. I move that we approve the minutes.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Okay.
Any opposed? Any abstains? Okay, the minutes are approved. Commissioners, looking down at the agenda, does anybody need to recuse themselves from consideration of any of these items? Okay, does this order strike everyone as the good order to have the agenda?
The fine order.
Okay, then, that's the order in which we will proceed. Calling first agenda item.
Chair, may I just give out a few rules to the members of the public who are joining us? Just a reminder that the meeting is being recorded. If you wish to speak, please put your full name and the agenda item in the chat box. Please don't put comments in the chat box. In order to be on the record, you must actually speak at this meeting. That's how you get on the public record. And that's all. Thank you.
Okay, let's proceed.
You first.
And by proceed, I mean begin.
Hi. Actually,
hello.
See myself. I am Andrea Kagan. I swear to tell the truth. This is preliminary review for 3000, 3004, 3008, 3012, 3016, 3020, and 3024 Minnesota Avenue. And this is in the Tower Grove East Local Historic District. This is a photo of the lot in question, or lots, I should say. Here is a location map. It's at the corner of Crittenden and Minnesota. And then there is the next block, or next street is Arsenal, but there's a vacant lot between these lots and that street. Okay. And here's just an aerial view of the lots and the surrounding context. And just another view from the other end of the block, looking back towards Crittenden. This project proposes the construction of an 18-unit multifamily development. The site is adjacent to a vacant lot on this intersection of Minnesota and Arsenal on the south, the historic Grant School apartments on the east, and houses across Minnesota and Crittenden. And these houses have differing scale, materials, and setbacks. The proposed construction includes 2 buildings at the street with 6 units each and 6 carriage house units behind the front units. The staff believes the proposed new construction generally complies with the Tower Grove East Local Historic District standards. This is a site plan. Originally, the back units were a little less visible because they were slid down more behind here due to having site conditions and the installing a gate. They had to push that slightly south. So this end unit is this end back unit is a little bit more visible than it would have been previously. This is an elevation and a rendering of the front buildings and viewing some of the back building behind. These are the other elevations. This is the east elevation of the carriage house, which basically will only be seen from the apartments. This is the elevation, the front elevation of the rear. And they have the parking kind of underneath I believe, underneath an overhang. And then this is the rear elevation of the front buildings, I believe. Or actually, maybe take the back. This is the back. This is the back of the. These are the front of the carriage houses. This is the north elevation of the end buildings that face Crittenden, and this is the south elevation of the buildings that face the vacant lot adjacent to Arsenal. There's some renderings of what these units look like. The first is one of the buildings and the area in between where you can see the carriage houses. And the other is a rendering between the front buildings and the rear carriage houses. This is just some context, buildings across Minnesota, and some context looking south on Minnesota. And then this is some context north of Crittenden along Minnesota. So the project would create 18 units of infill housing along a long vacant block. The proposed design complies with Tower Grove East Historic District standards for new construction. And the Cultural Resources Office recommends that the Preservation Board grant preliminary approval for the 18-unit multifamily residential development at 3000, 3004, 3008, 3012, 3016, 3018, and 3024 Minnesota, with the condition that final plans and materials are reviewed and approved by the Cultural Resources Office.
Do we have any testimony that's been submitted?
We don't have any letters, I don't believe.
Okay. And have we heard from the alder?
No.
Great. Questions for staff, commissioners? Okay, let's hear from the applicant, please.
Okay.
Yes, this is Aaron Bunsey with Studio DVLP.
Okay, let's see if we have any questions for you. Commissioners, any questions for the applicant?
I did want to just bring up that we did have a letter of support from the neighborhood association. I believe that was sent over to Meg sometime maybe last week.
I don't think we ever got it.
Okay.
Oh, maybe there's. Was it sent to the board?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I think we got it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, I don't think commissioners have any questions. Is anybody here to speak?
Aaron Bunce and Melissa Allen are the only two. They're both applicants.
Okay. Good then. Commissioners, do I have a motion? Commissioner Killeen,
I move that the Preservation Board grant preliminary approval to this project with the stipulation that details. And
We just got notified that we do have someone else to speak.
oh, okay.
hold your motion just 1 second. Who wants to speak?
Kaveh Rosani.
Okay.
Hello, commissioners. Thank you for the time. Nice to see some of you. Forgive me, this is my first meeting here, and I had, excuse me, a couple questions. And I'm not sure what steps or processes will follow this one. I understand this is in the context of the Preservation Office, and perhaps not the only time that this development will have an opportunity for public comment. I was curious what rental rate these units will be at, where we are in the process of this development, what steps are next, and if there's an opportunity to speak, to those of us that live on this block.
Want to address that?
Yeah, sure. Hey, Kaveh, it's Rob.
Hey, Rob, how are you?
And
Yeah.
we'll give you a minute to deal with this, but this is not the right place.
Okay.
This is not the right place. Okay, thank you. I'm happy to hold my conversation if there are other opportunities for
Yeah,
public.
we've got him right here and we've got you right there. Let's see if we can answer it quickly.
So I can answer it very quickly. Kaveh, we're going through this under the pragmatic processes that we need to via the neighborhood channels. Assuming the motion is approved by the Preservation Board, we would then have to go and price the project, finance the project, and then underwrite that with loans that make the project financially viable. We will, and you're welcome to come down the street when you're back on Minnesota and knock on my door. And if you and I just want to sit, I can speak to this in a ton more detail, as you're just a few houses down.
So there's no idea what the rental rate will be right now?
Right now, the rental rate,
to be like affordable or market. You don't know that much either.
it'll be market rate housing. There's no affordability component, but the market rate housing based on the area median income should be right around between 80% and market. So I'm happy to share that with you, but obviously we've got a lot more to do in order to at least price this out to make sure it's even viable to begin with.
That makes sense. And I'll close. I see some names of some of my neighbors on here, and I think a few of us would love to have an opportunity to speak to this. I understand that you went to the neighborhood association, but I don't think any members of my block had an opportunity to speak to you guys about this yet. So if such an opportunity should arise, I don't want to speak for other folks whose names I see on this, but if such an opportunity should arise, I would very much appreciate that.
Thank you.
Our door is open. So
Okay.
Alicia Sonier would also wanted to speak.
Is that the Alderwoman?
Yes.
Okay. Alderwoman?
Hey, sorry. I just have more questions too. I didn't really know. This just came up, and obviously we just, got sworn in. So I'm not really sure. Maybe I would just spend my time listening and letting folks know I am on the call, and then I'm open to their feedback and conversation following this.
Alderwoman, how do they reach you?
SONNIERA@stlouis-mo.gov or 314-390-9022.
Thank you, Alderwoman.
Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, question for the Alderwoman, if that's possible.
Certainly. Alicia, is that okay with you?
Yes.
So are you saying, have you had enough time to review this, or do you know much about this project?
No, I read the next STL article that came out about it. I saw it was a topic of conversation. I had some constituents ask if I've seen it, but this is news to me.
Would it be beneficial to hold our horses on this for a month to give you a chance to get to know it a little bit? And your constituents too, or is that not important, the timing?
I mean, for me, that is important. I don't know how this process usually works, but and I don't know what previous conversations were, but I really haven't heard anything about the project at all until today. And so that makes me concerned just about, has there been enough room for there to be public input and public feedback?
Okay, thank you.
I mean, we don't, if I can speak, we don't have a formal letter, but we did meet several times with Alderwoman Ingracia. We've met with the neighborhood multiple times in the project over the last 12 months now.
12 or 18 months.
Yeah, so it's not, this is just the next step in getting this project approved. We've also met twice with CRO as well. We're just, again, we're trying to find the viability, whether or not this project is financeable in the current market right now. So that's where the project currently sits. So
I think that's a good point. Commissioner Killeen, have you got a motion having to do with our preliminary review of this design?
Well, my motion would be to delay the action on this for 1 month.
Okay, is there a second to that?
Second.
Discussion?
We've got a new alderman in this ward apparently, and she hasn't had time to review. And it looks like we're pretty close on this design. It's very nice, but I don't know if it would be detrimental to your project to just give it 30 days so you get buy-in. But that's what I would recommend.
Further comments from commissioners?
I just agree with what Mike just said totally, wholeheartedly. I think we can wait.
Can we ask if it would be detrimental to the project?
That's what I was wondering.
I mean, admittedly, it will continue to add challenges. We're trying to be in a position to break ground in early summer so that we can be dry before the winter hits. So our timelines continue to be aggressive, but of course, you know, everything is so fluid these days with the construction and the markets. I mean, we're just trying to find a gap for this project right now, as far as some of the larger projects that are happening out west.
Yeah.
Further discussion by commissioners?
Can I have a comment? I think I understand both. This is Tiffany Hamilton, Commissioner.
I've got this little tiny iPhone, so all I can actually see is a green spot.
Okay, it's okay. It's my shirt.
Okay.
So I understand both sides. I think with my realtor hat on, which I think I'm supposed to look at this from, I know time is typically of the essence, and I just worry because they have spoken to the previous alder person and they have attended the neighborhood meetings, and this has been a point of discussion. I understand it's worrisome for some people that are just hearing about it now, and I feel bad with the new alderwoman coming in, but I think because they have done their due diligence, and it's just like a timing of transition of power, I'd hate to penalize them for providing the steps, because I do know every day matters with construction and development and its costs. So that's my 2 cents.
Well, my thought on that is, we all know that the aldermen were sworn in a couple of weeks ago, so I'd say it was incumbent upon this applicant to put this in front of her, and that, I guess that didn't happen, or maybe they tried and they couldn't reach her.
Any further discussion by commissioners? Okay, commissioners, the motion before us is to delay consideration of this a month. An aye vote delays it, a no vote does not delay it, and I'll need another motion. Commissioner Hammaker, do you vote yes or no?
No.
Commissioner Allen, do you vote yes or no?
Yes.
Commissioner Richardson, do you vote yes or no?
Sorry, did you hear that one?
I did not, I'm sorry.
No.
Commissioner Killeen, do you vote yes or no?
Yes.
Commissioner Hamilton, do you vote yes or no?
No.
Commissioner Robinson, do you vote yes or no?
No.
Chair abstains on this vote. There are 4 noes, 2 yeses. The motion fails. Commissioner Robinson, have you got a motion?
I'm sorry, I'll need to think on that for a minute.
Commissioner Hamilton, have you got a motion?
My motion is that the Preservation Board grant preliminary approval for the project with the condition that the review of final drawings, details, and exterior materials and color be reviewed and approved by Cultural Resources.
Is there a second?
I'll second. It's Hamaker.
Any discussion? Okay, commissioners, I will call a roll. Same order. Commissioner Hamaker, do you vote yes or no?
Yes.
Commissioner Allen, do you vote yes or no?
No.
Commissioner Richardson, do you vote yes or no?
Yes.
Commissioner Killeen, do you vote yes or no?
No.
Commissioner Hamilton, do you vote yes or no?
Yes.
Commissioner Robinson, do you vote yes or no?
Yes.
The chair abstains on this vote. There are 4 yeses, 2 noes. We grant preliminary approval to this design. Thanks, commissioners. We are now going to move into administrative hearings. We will consider, there's my notes. We will consider an appeal of a director's denial of 1800 South 10th Street.
I am Andrea Gagan, and I still swear to tell the truth. I need to enter into the record the enabling ordinance 64689 is amended by 64925. The Soulard Neighborhood Historic District Ordinance 57078 is amended by 62382. The agenda, the PowerPoint in my presentation.
Proceed.
Okay, this is a building at 1800 South 10th Street. The owner was sent a violation letter by the building inspector in January 2023 for the construction of a legal structure. The permit application for the pergola that was constructed was submitted in early March. Our office noted that the construction pergola did not comply with the Soulard Neighborhood Historic District standards as it was not based on a model example and had fiberglass components. The permit application was denied, and the applicant is appealing the director's denial to the board. This is the location of, it's near the corner of Soulard and 10th Street. And this is a view of the pergola from the sidewalk and from the southwest corner of the property. As you can see, there was some sort of plastic material, or I don't know if it's fiberglass or plastic, but it's on the roof and along the walls, or creating walls, I should say. This is a view of the pergola showing its proximity to the building. It is not attached to the building. It is just almost up against the building. And this is just another close-up view of the construction. Right. And this is just looking the view of the pergola from, actually, these are not right, but from looking north on 10th Street and looking south from the corner of 10th Street. All right. As I said, it does not comply with the historic district standards. It is considered to be a yard structure as it is not attached to the building. It is not based on a model example and was constructed without a permit. The structure also has fiberglass roof and walls, which are prohibited materials. The pergola was constructed without a permit. The Soulard Historic District standards require that yard structures be based on a model example. The construction pergola is not based on my example, but is instead contemporary in design and materials. Fiberglass used for the roofing and walls of the pergola are prohibited materials. The owner does have there was a letter submitted from the property owner expressing their support of the project. And we also received, which you should have gotten both of those letters, I believe. There's also one from Walker Hamilton, the committee chair for the Plan Review and Zoning Committee for the SRG. which says they cannot support the unpermitted pergola.
Lori Fisk Simpson. Do I have a moment to speak on this?
Yes, just a second. I'm not quite finished. Based on these preliminary findings, the Cultural Resource Office recommends that the Preservation Board uphold the director's denial of the pergola as the work does not comply with the Soulard Neighborhood Local Historic District standards. All right. And any questions?
Commissioners, questions?
Two questions. One, am I correct? The applicant's asserting some level of financial hardship. I know we have gotten a lot of financial information. If you could clarify, are we looking at that today? And then the second is, did the applicant get a building permit for this construction?
No, that's the building permit and our review are at the same time, so there was no building permit hold for it. They have applied now, but there's no permit for it. You're right. Yes.
And I have a question. In the letter from the owner, it references that they have found several examples of similar structures in the area. Do we have those? Were those
the owner, their applicant is going to present those.
Gotcha. Thank you.
And on the hardship question,
she's also going to talk about the financial portion.
So I have a question. If they had applied for a building permit, is it built to code? Do we know?
That I am not sure. I couldn't say for sure.
Can I speak on this?
Not yet.
Okay, sorry.
I will make a point of calling on you, but I will swear you in first. Andrea, continue.
I haven't heard anything from the plan reviewer saying that it isn't, but I don't know that for sure. Because I can tell whether I have no way of knowing whether the footings are deep enough or anything.
Commissioners, further questions? I have a quick one. So we're calling it a pergola, not a gazebo and not a storage shed?
It's kind of designed as a pergola, but then it has plastic walls and roof. So we're calling it a yard structure. It is a yard. Under the definition, it's a yard structure.
Okay, good enough. Thank you very much. Okay, now let's find the appellant.
Okay, Lori Fisk Simpson.
Hello. So in general, I just wanted to share a couple of action items. Like once I
a little bit of housekeeping first.
Okay.
First of all, your name?
Lori Fisk Simpson.
And is your testimony going to be the truth?
Yes.
Okay. For your presentation, we'd like you to introduce for the record everything that you want us to consider in your appeal.
Okay.
Proceed.
Thank you. So first we have the letter from my appeal letter. I actually wasn't aware of the permit issues until January. I hired a professional contracting company. And to that point, I did contact Rothschild, who I'm renting from, to ask if a structure like this was okay. So I put it in the hands of the professional construction company to follow the correct procedures, which did not happen. As soon as I got the violation letter, I went directly got them stamped and sealed to correct any violations that I was given. And the main violations mentioned that I did not have drawings from a professional. So there we go. So most of these violations, pergola without drawing from a design professional, those were all stamped and sealed. I turned those into the city, in which I did get a little bit of feedback from Ralph Elgin Wafer, requesting more site plan info. So I was able to edit that and get it stamped and sealed again to turn in. I do have support from Rothschild. I had gone around in Soulard. I kind of cleaned up my paper a little bit, but I have 5 examples of modern pergola structures that are constructed of the same items, as in corrugated metal and wood framing, even the design elements of these structures, in which the newest one, Calypso, is being constructed now, and that is the most modern in Soulard. So I know that my pergola is deemed modern, but I was also willing to take some feedback from the Soulard Restoration Group, in which I submitted maybe 4 different versions of modifications that I could make in order to follow that code of no fiberglass. The walls of the pergola are removable, and I reiterated that with the groups. It was just basically the pergola was constructed to potentially get revenue in the winter and be an all year round attraction, I guess. So lots of these model examples from the neighborhood, as you can see, are very similar. Some are even more modern. And I do have a 5th option that I could propose, just to change the fiberglass roof to metal, corrugated metal. So in this version that you're seeing on the screen right now, it's version 1. Every building in Soulard has detailed trim and paint. So that was something that I could afford, I would say, to modify this structure. So regardless of if I turned in 4 versions, as of this past weekend, there was no opposition from the SRG. I got notified Sunday night that they had decided to oppose. So I don't know if they have a suggestion of any modifications I could make, or if they're just saying no. But I'm willing to at least entertain certain ideas, and I've presented 4. I guess, and then financially, I don't think there's anything on here that says my specific information, but in a nutshell, there used to be 4 partners in this business venture, and now there's just me, because the previous partner, they're criminals and they stole money to where I've inherited about $38,000 in credit card debt that I'm trying to pay off and breaking even each month just to keep that debt under control. There's also, the previous partner was our general manager, to where he wasn't paying rent. So I have a separate deal with Rothschild, making up for all of the late fees and things like that. So I didn't include that pay schedule in the whole folder of evidence that I've shared, but it's well over $50,000 in just inherited debt. That's not, I've changed the LLC into my personal one. So, I have regular business expenses on top of previous doghouse expenses. So I don't know if you need to hear any more.
How much is your yard structure going to cost in any of its versions?
I don't have that figure, but since I'm on maternity leave right now, I will be doing the painting. So if painting and putting trim on on the structure is acceptable, I'll be doing a lot of the labor portion of it. So I did not figure to be that much, but I do have other options of construction companies to call to install this trim.
Okay. Commissioners, questions for the appellant?
Yeah, I just want to clarify. The structure is there right now. So you're just presenting options to modify the structure.
And to make it look less modern, or to make it like match with the building and the other structures in Soulard.
Got it. So I guess my question is, do you know how much any of those modifications would cost?
I would say less than $1,000, because it's the walls are removable, and so they were only on there for the winter. But in order just to get a couple of sheets of metal for the roof, I want to say those sheets are like $1,200. We have that option. We have paint and we have trim. So it's like another version of was like to make a hedge wall, or another version was to put that black lining on the fence, because I've seen that in other people's alleyways to hide their trash.
Okay, thank you.
I have questions. So have Ralph Wafer, you said you talked to him down at the permit office. Did he give you approval? Like, do you have a building permit for this project now?
I applied for it and I paid for it. So, but I don't know if that was the difference between my application or an actual.
So maybe staff can answer that. So this whole thing's being held up, I guess, for your approval, correct?
Correct.
Okay. One of those projects that you showed was Big Daddy's, and I was the architect for that. They did get approval for that. So going through this, I can remember it was all about making the thing black and not stand out. So I would think of the solutions that you suggested, something that would conceal this whole thing, actually a planting wall that would make the shed roof go away from the street, and maybe the rest of it's painted black. I think that would be more acceptable than some of the other solutions that I saw. I mean, just as if we're kicking ideas around. So
yeah, great.
Commissioners, further questions for the appellant?
Yeah, I had one question. So I guess, did you get the permission of your landlord to build this before you built it, or?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And Rothschild didn't tell you you were in a historic district and needed a permit?
No, basically the conversation was, I want to winterize the park. Is it okay if we build a pergola structure? And they just asked us to submit drawings, and that was the extent of it.
So the landlord approved what you were building?
Yes.
Got it. Thank you.
Commissioners, further questions? Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Staff, is anybody signed up to speak?
I don't believe anybody else. I don't think anybody else is.
Okay. Thank you. Okay, commissioners, this completes the testimony in this matter. Commissioner Richardson, have you got a motion?
I was going to move that the Preservation Board uphold the director's denial of the application to return the pergola, but that the Cultural Resource Office work on finding an acceptable compromise design with the applicant.
Second.
Is there, okay. Barb Burkett, did you get that motion?
You're silent, Barb.
Well, yeah, the motion I have is that David Richardson moved to uphold the director's denial and direct the Cultural Resources Office to work with the applicant on alternate design.
Yep.
Okay.
Okay. Is there
and
any
I
discussion?
believe Tiffany Hamilton was the second.
Tiffany, is that correct?
Yeah, it was correct.
Okay. Any further discussion? Okay, commissioners, I'm going to call a roll. Commissioner Hamaker, do you vote yes or no?
Yes.
Commissioner Allen, do you vote yes or no?
Yes.
Commissioner Richardson, do you vote yes or no?
Yes.
Commissioner Killeen, do you vote yes or no?
Yes.
Commissioner Hamilton, do you vote yes or no?
Yes.
Commissioner Robinson, do you vote yes or no?
Yes.
Chair abstains on this vote. I count 6 yeses, no nos, 1 abstention. The appeal is denied.
Can I clarify something with Barb?
Yes.
Barb, if it's not based on a model example, it still has to come back to the preservation board, correct?
Yes, unless some other, I don't know what all the possibilities are that she could work to this with the staff. Basically the appeal's denied. You would work with her regarding an alternate design. There was no requirement that you're going to reach an desirable outcome with that. So it's entirely possible you will return.
Okay.
Hey, are we clear?
I think so.
Is there examples of a model design that you would share, like when we work together?
Yeah, we can discuss that later.
Okay.
Okay, good luck, everyone. Agenda item C, which is 1814 Kennett Place.
Everybody, Bob Bettis here with staff. Can you guys see me? What do you guys see? Okay, hold on. All right. Coming in a little blind here. Can you guys see the PowerPoint?
Yes.
Excellent. Okay. All right. So Bob Bettis with staff, swear to tell the truth. Need to enter in the enabling ordinance 64689 as amended by 64925, and then also Lafayette Squares ordinance, which is 70926. My PowerPoint, staff report, and ready to rock and roll. You look that?
Proceed.
Awesome. All right. So we're in the, it says Benton Park. We're going to change that because that's just going to drive me crazy. 1 second. Watch this on the fly. It's going to be crazy. Lafayette Square, local historic district, 1814 Kennett Place. What is at question will be the installation of a decorative metal handrail on the 2 run of steps in the front. So here's the lovely house in question. Here's some quick context for you. We're just to the west of 18th Street. Here is some street level context when there is no leaves on the trees, looking both east and west. The property in question is here on the right, and then on the left on the bottom. Okay, these are close-up shots of the front steps. The proposal, and I'll show you in a second the site plan, a set of paired handrails that run from the upper steps and then down the lower steps down to the sidewalk. The Lafayette Square rules for handrails state that they need to be based on a model example, and staff interprets that to mean a historic handrail. The applicant is using the fence at Lafayette Park as the basis for the design. Staff felt that that was not an appropriate model example. Although lovely in design, we're not questioning his taste, we're saying it's not an appropriate model example per the Lafayette Square code. So this is a shot of the Lafayette Park fence. And this is the design. You can see where we placed in the 2 runs of steps. And on the right is the fence to show its design. Here's a site plan showing the location of the sets of handrails. There are some intrusions already from a previous fence that ran up the steps. So we're going to make sure that any handrail system installed will have a minimum amount of intrusions into the stone, just to make sure we're not going to damage any of the historic fabric. I noticed you guys hit mute, whoever's talking back in the background. I think Susan, could you mute yourself, please? You're coming through. Okay, thanks. All right, so I back up. historically, there probably would not have been a handrail at this location. So trying to find a super decorative handrail that matches what they're proposing was not going to really be able to be found. We recommended to the homeowner that they do a simple black metal handrail, which we could have probably approved at staff level, but they do a plan to do a highly decorative fence down the line, which we actually could approve at staff level. And this handrail system would mimic that fence. So they chose to try and get a exception to the code from you guys for this decorative design. Lafayette Square is in support of the applicant's request for the handrail. They have sent several photographs that I'll show you when Ms. Sessions speaks. She wants to talk about that. But anyway, so given that the handrail is not based on an appropriate model example, staff recommends that the board uphold the inspector's denial for the handrail. Any questions?
Commissioners, questions? Okay, let's hear from the appellant.
Can you hear me?
There he is.
Yes.
Hi, my name is Jeff Kirkpatrick. I do solemnly swear. Is it possible to read a statement first off?
Will it last longer than a day?
Hopefully not, because my wife needs me to pick her up. So
okay, go ahead.
Okay. So my wife and I are new to St. Louis, and it was actually never our first intention to buy a 130-year-old house that needed a little work. But we drove through many of the older neighborhoods, a lot of the historic neighborhoods, noticed the different architecture, the styles, the paint, the landscaping. And so we jumped at the chance at Kennett to give it a little loving care. Shortly after we purchased the house, the city inspector dropped by, listed one of the items that needed to be installed was a railing going up both flights of stairs. And as noted, you know, this property might not have had a railing at one point. However, I was also told by, you know, the neighborhood, the community, we haven't had a lot of time to do a lot of research in the, you know, about the neighborhood, but they've been nothing but supportive, sharing what they know about the history and culture, not only in the neighborhood, but with our house. So my wife and I walked the neighborhoods shortly after we purchased it, looked at many of the different aspects, the houses in the neighborhoods. We always came back to the main fence of Lafayette and the symbolism that it gave the district and the community. We also didn't have to go too far because there was a picture of our neighbor's residence that's directly next door to us that shows an existing fence. And I know it's not circa 1900, but their railing goes up the steps. They also have a fence that goes basically their property line up to ours. And at one point in time, I'm assuming there would have had to have been a gate and a railing going up the first flight of steps because there are, you know, cut off aluminum or, you know, metal posts that at once existed not only on the wall, but on the steps. So when we saw the railing in Lafayette and then our neighbors, I presented the idea to Matt over at the Lafayette Square Preservation Board. He thought it looked great for the house. Noted obviously I'd have to get approval from the Historical Society. Then we also found 2 posts at Riverside Antique that we could repurpose and reuse as an existing piece that also mirror Lafayette Square fence, the main posts. And so when reading through the papers that were sent out for this meeting, I actually loved what was written in certain aspects of this, in the sense that you know, accessories are architectural elements that add to the overall character of the building. In smaller measure, the preceding appendage items, accessories if chosen wisely, can greatly enhance the historical quality of a building. Obviously, these are cast iron, which are also noted. And then mentions new or reused metal accessories, and it also mentions based on historic model examples, which, as noted, might not have appeared at this property, and that's somewhat the stance that we were trying to get a variance on, just because even with the approval of Lafayette Square's symbol, we had received this letter when we moved in, basically the logo of Lafayette Square and how it represents the people within the square, as well as the people outside the square, that this is a neighborhood community. It will distinguish Lafayette Square from all other neighborhoods in the city. That's why, we chose the symbol in the railing, along with the, visual aspects in the community. So anyway, that's a little bit of the story as far as going, around the community, asking the neighbors, asking the board, and then obviously coming to you for variance and approval for the handrail. And I'm finished.
Commissioners, questions for the appellant? Okay, thank you, sir. Staff, is anybody here to speak?
Yeah, Suzanne Sessions from Lafayette Square is here.
Okay. Ms. Sessions?
Yes. I'm Suzanne Sessions. I live at 1831 Kennett Place, and I'm a member of the Lafayette Square Preservation Committee.
Is your testimony going to be the truth?
It will be the truth.
Proceed.
All right. I'm here and speaking in favor of the proposal as presented by the owners to build that new metal railing at 1814 Kennett Place. Obviously, you could tell I'm down the street from the owners. I have not talked to them about this project, but I have walked up and down Kennett Place and looked carefully at all the houses with unique and antique railings. And that's a lot different than some of the houses that have a very simple pole railing. I found two things. I found that there were about 3 houses that I could identify as having really historic railings. And they were indeed a combination of an ornate post, railings, spears, and sometimes curved poles in the center. There were others that looked like they had been put in later, but I could not tell for sure. And then there are some I know, because I've been here for 39 years, that I saw put in. So we have a combination of railings. There is no one style. There is no one age. But what I also found out after looking through our preservation, our historic standards, that there is a page that shows iron elements, and now you see it on the screen there, and it doesn't say anything about it other than it's cast iron finials, wrought iron, and cast iron post. All right, and this is an example on the back of our standards that shows all different examples of how to build and what's appropriate and what's not appropriate. I looked at this. I looked at the example that the owner had presented for the fence at Lafayette Park, and I feel that they both qualify as historic model examples for a fence to be, a railing to be put up in this spot. They're right next door to a house with a very ornate railing. So it is not out of the ordinary to expect this house, which is a really nice looking house from the outside. It's been many years since I've been inside it, but they're doing a lot of work, and I don't blame them for wanting to put up a house with some style to it. The picture on the right on the screen is a house over on Mississippi at 1515. So that was indeed put up in the last 10 years. And I assume it was passed by the city in the building. So my comments are the Lafayette Square Preservation Committee, based on the above reference to HMEs, believes that the permission should be granted to build the railing as presented using the existing capped rail holes. That means it would go inside, that you would see on the picture on the there. Those are the existing ones. So they would not be opening up different positions for it, nor would they be trying to put it on the outside of the stoop. I do not feel a false sense of history is in that feature, but what I do think is at stake is the safety. Because one last comment, I went over there this morning to photograph the holes in the steps, and as I was walking down the steps, one of the workmen came out and he said, ma'am, do you need some help? So it is time for them to build this. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Is there anybody else here to speak?
No, sir, there is not.
Bob, would you like to say something?
Yeah, I mean, Suzanne and I had a discussion before this meeting where I think we disagree on the specifics for handrail model examples, fencing model examples, and I appreciate their interpretation. However, I think it's pretty clear there's a reference directly to handrails requiring an example, and that's spelled out in the model example, and it's different than fencing, which just requires you to base its scale on a model example. So that's where we're having the confusion here, because we're drawing an example from a fence that doesn't have to have a certain model example, with handrails that do say you need a specific model example. So again, I appreciate their take on it. Staff just believes there's more specifics in the code as we spelled out in our report.
Bob,
yes.
while I have you there, what would a handrail that you could approve look like?
I'm sorry, one second. Yeah, I mean, essentially, we always default to a simple black metal handrail. I think that's overly ornate. That would, again, and kind of present that false sense of history. And that's not a pejorative. It's just we don't want a structure or a house to have a decorative element that was not there historically. You don't want somebody drive by and go, oh, look at that awesome historic handrail. So we always default to a simple black metal handrail. We probably could have approved that, or find a handrail that's actually based on a model example.
Okay.
Mr. Chairman, before you take a motion, I have a suggestion.
Yes.
And so Mike Killian here, architect, I was just going to suggest, as we look at the model example that you're using here, the verticals go all the way down to the bottom rail. In your design, they don't. I would suggest that you follow that and bring them all the way down and have the X's sort of in between. And the other one is, it looks like we've got sort of an awkward connection to your decorative metal post that could be difficult to make. So I don't know if that could be lifted up a little bit. Maybe that's not a, exact drawing of it, but just a couple little suggestions. But congratulate you on getting that house. That's a beautiful one.
Commissioner Allen, have you got a motion?
Do I? I don't think so. Not yet.
I have one if anyone wants one.
Who's making that noise? Is that you, Commissioner Hamilton?
Stephanie, yeah.
Yes. Who else makes these noises?
Okay. Okay, Commissioner Hamilton, since Commissioner Allen passed on his opportunity, you may seize it.
Thank you. My motion is that the preservation overturn the director's denial to install a decorative black metal handrail.
Is there a second?
I'll second it. It's Catherine.
Okay. Is there discussion?
Can we go further and say that we are approving what they presented, though? Is that implicit in that motion?
Oh, yes, you can add that. What Commissioner
and I would ask to amend your motion to say that, and we approve the handrails as proposed in the drawings that were presented to us.
Yeah, I second that. Mm-hmm.
Okay, Barb is never going to be able to untangle that. You're making the motion. Commissioner Hamaker, do you second the motion as amended?
I do.
Okay, thank you very much. Barb, are you okay? You still there?
Yes, the motion I have is the preservation overturn the director's denial and approve as proposed.
Yes,
Good.
that was the motion.
Okay. Commissioners, any discussion? Hearing none, I'm going to call a roll. Commissioner Hamaker, do you vote yes or no?
Yes.
Decision time, Commissioner Allen, do you vote yes or no?
No.
Commissioner Richardson, do you vote yes or no?
Yes.
Commissioner Killeen, do you vote yes or no?
Yes.
Commissioner Hamilton, do you vote yes or no?
Yes.
Commissioner Robinson, do you vote yes or no?
Yes.
The chair abstains on this vote. Counts 5 yeses, 1 no, 1 abstention. The appeal is successful.
Thank you all.
Thank you very much.
Okay, I see nothing else on our agenda. Meg, anything to add for the good of the order?
Nope.
Okay then, do I hear a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second.
Okay, without objection, we stand adjourned. Thank you, commissioners.
Thank you.
Thank you all.
Everyone,
Yeah.
thanks, staff. Thanks, Bob.